Hi, this is Miles McGuire from the Oshkosh Examiner, and thanks for joining us as we continue our conversations with the candidates. Today, we're joined by Michael Beardsley, who is running for Common Council. And we'll start with the most basic question. Tell us about yourself. Why are you running, and what qualifications would you bring to the job?
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for having me. I'm Michael Beardsley, and I've lived in Oshkosh for about 9 years now with my wife, Megan, and dog Coach. I'm running because it's important to me that Oshkosh is a city that is sustainable, thriving, and equitable for future generations. So I graduated from UW Oshkosh with my bachelor's of business administration degree and majoring in information systems, which takes me to where I am today as an IT consultant. I'm also a board member of Our Wisconsin Revolution, which is an organization that has 4,000 statewide members with a mission of shaping our governments and economies so that they are working in the best interests of the people. And I also had the honor of being elected as one of Senator Bernie Sanders' delegates to the 2020 Democratic National Convention earlier last year. And then lastly, in my run for Congress earlier last year, I demonstrated my willingness to challenge the political status quo in an effort to inspire others to look at the issues we face today through a different lens. And I plan to bring that same resolve to the local level, where decisions by the council have intimate impacts on our community.
Okay. And what would be your top priorities for improving the city?
Yeah, my top priorities, first and foremost, will be COVID-19, making sure that plan is front and center, so we can tackle that and get that out of the way and move on to more bigger picture goals. I'll call them. So some of those will be to lead the effort of environmental sustainability. I would like the city commit to 100% renewable energy by 2050. I like to see increased usage of solar panels on city property and also to incentivize private ownership. I will also take an aggressive approach to the conservation of our waterways and green spaces. And lastly, for sustainability, I would like to see a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce to attract more green sector businesses to kind of move into a more future economy here. Um, some quick things with decriminalization and some fines that are currently on the books. I would like to see homelessness and simple marijuana possession fines be removed. I don't believe they're serving the right purpose with how they are today. And then lastly, I would like to see an increased investment in the city budget for early education and childcare. Um, there's a network of cities across the country that have already implemented universal childcare programs, and I think that's something this Oshkosh can start down that path. So I'll explore funding, providing access to childcare for low-income households to start, with a vision of having that become universal in the future.
Okay. And how would you engage with citizens? And what do you think is a reasonable time for somebody to wait for a response from you if they do send you an email or leave you a voicemail?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In general, I'm a open and transparent person. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and I'm going to be honest with you. So in general, I would do that on the council as well, of course. And I would like to see more interest and activity from community members at council meetings. I think more public pressure is good for the council, and I think council should embrace that instead of hide from that, as we sometimes see from different elected officials. And then some personal experiences and thoughts here is I always find it a bit disappointing and infuriating when elected officials can just choose to not return phone calls or emails or what have you. And in my experience, being ignored when I contact local leaders, I, I'm just very disappointed. So I vow to always at least provide a response where I can, and more if needed, if I can provide some expertise or answers. So I do this in my life now, whether that's work or people reaching out during this campaign with questions or um, I guess recommendations on how I should be doing things. So it's like something that I expect as is really the bare minimum for any elected position. So as far as how much is a reasonable time, I don't know if there's totally a clear answer. I guess it depends if there's a big issue like special assessments or things like that where might warrant a more public response, or really just emails and phone calls are essentially what I'm signing up for. So whatever it takes to get those answers is reasonable in my opinion.
Okay, good. Here's kind of a technical question, and that's what do you think about the current special assessment process for street repair? And do you think the city should change it?
Uh, I do. I do think they should change it. I don't like the current process. I think it puts too much hardships on residents with essentially no fault of their own. Their street needs to be repaired. They get stuck with this multi-thousand-dollar bill. So I would support a new process. I like the previously proposed plan that failed the council in the past to add a $4.50 utility bill fee each month. I know there's talks of wheel tax and even some other things. In regards to the wheel tax, I think there are questions around the legality of it, specifically on the funds if they can use be covered sidewalks or essentially things that aren't actual roads. So I think from the start that wouldn't truly solve our issues. So I don't know if I would want to go that route. I know the chamber and businesses have been pretty vocal about keeping special assessments. So keeping it just for businesses is something I would consider if that's what it takes to relieve the burden on the residential side of things, which of course would move to a monthly fixed bill fee. But keep it simple in the end. I think we need to provide a way to spread out the cost instead of a large bill for certain residents when in reality many can't afford that. So I believe the monthly utility bill would be a good solution for that.
Okay. And what is something, sort of like the one thing that you would like to see accomplished by the end of your term?
Yeah. Aside from some of the things I listed in my priorities, and in addition to that, I would like to see an update on the current structure of the council itself. So I know there's always questions on the mayoral duties versus the city manager duties. This is a little different, but it's similar. So um, it, essentially, I believe the 6 council seats are not enough. I don't think it fully provides representation for the actual size of our city. When you look at similarly populated cities like Appleton, Eau Claire, La Crosse are some good examples. They have 12 or sometimes more council members. Now, some of those cities are full district representation, where Oshkosh is at large seats. So what I would like to see as a simple solution is to add 6 district seats to the council in addition to the already 6 that exist at large. So we would have 12 total. Now that's not something I would say is set in stone, but it's something I like to see more seats increase. And I think a mix of district and at large would be good. That's very similar to what Eau Claire has. So they're a good model to look at this if you want to look at a real life example. And I think it would go a long way in allowing for more representation on the council and really help grow the city. So that's what I'd like to see during my term.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah, thank you for having me.